Aloha, hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii and Keller Williams Realty, Big Island. Behind me, I'm here with my wonderful teammate Eric Ziemelis and one of our friends Mark Gross, who some of you guys might know from some of our crazy Facebook experiences. And we are going to be talking about the island-wide real estate market update. And I've got a new person to introduce you to today. It's Andy Madrid, and he's also from Keller Williams, and he's going to capture the south part of our wonderful island in terms of his update. We also have Lance Owens, who's from LUVA Real Estate. We've got Amber Haley, and she's with Real Broker. We are waiting for my friend Jana popping in from Keller Williams as well. And then we also have our mortgage professionals, our partners, Scott Wynn and Joe Eagan. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how this is going to go. We are going to start from the east side around the island, and then we're going to go to finances. So we're going to start with Amber on this one, and she's going to tell us all about what's going on from North Hilo to Pahoa, I think. Yeah, Amber, go for it.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Hi, everybody. Aloha from East Hawaii. Beautiful day in East Hawaii right now. Like, truly gorgeous. Perfect humid temperature outside.
It's raining.
Okay, so it's raining in Kona, just for the record, raining in Kona. Gorgeous over here at East Hawaii. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Puna District and the South Hilo District. So let's see what's going on with the stats. So for our last full month of sales that we had this summer in Puna, there were 67 single family homes. We mostly talk about single family homes in East Hawaii because we have very few condos compared to the other parts of the island. So 61 sales, the median price, believe it or not, $360,000. That's pretty low for Hawaii. And it's lower than it was a month ago, where with the median price was at 410,000. And one second, because I'm sorry, I have a new computer set up. We're getting used to it. And let's take a look at what it was a year ago. It was exactly $360,000 as well. So we are sitting in the Puna District at about where we were at for median home values a year ago, at least at this snapshot in time. Less sales though, and more days on market. So the average days on market, 45 days for all the sales that closed last month. Compare that to the month before where it was 78 days. Oh. And a year ago it was 43. So we are very similar to where we were at this time last year in the Puna District. Now keep in mind, I mention this every time, Puna, there is going to be, even though the median price is $360,000, for example, in Hawaiian Paradise Park, which is one of the more popular subdivisions in the Puna District, there's a lot of transactions in real estate trading that happens there. Right now, there's about, I believe, 61 or 62 active single-family homes on the market in Hawaiian Paradise Park. The highest price one I just saw today is just north of $2 million. Oh, and wow. Then the lowest price is I think $165,000. So there's quite a range in Puna, even with the median home value being $360,000. There's quite a range even just in the neighborhood. So something to keep in mind on the Puna District. It's definitely a great option for people who are priced out of even Hilo, because we're going to talk about the South Hilo District in just a moment, or West Hawaii, or somewhere else in the state. So I would expect that we probably will be seeing a lot of people relocating from Maui potentially over to East Hawaii. So stay tuned for that. Now, South Hilo, there's not quite as many real estate transactions that happen there. There's just not as much inventory. But South Hilo, there were 17 sales that closed in our last full month, and the median price is median value is sitting at $568,000. So that is a little bit higher than the month before, where it was $539, and higher than a year ago, where it was $477,000. So the South Hilo District, our stats are a little bit different than the Puna District, as you can see. And let's see, as far as days on market, we're selling pretty fast in July in Hilo. And that's probably a lack of inventory. That's probably why we're seeing that. 28 days on market was the average. The month before it was only 22, and last year it was 24. So South Hilo, not a lot of inventory. If you're looking in South Hilo and you're a home buyer, it's one of those areas that if something pops up that looks good, it probably will go pretty fast just due to lack of inventory, and it's popular real estate. And then the other thing we do like to mention on these updates as well is often our final list price to sales price. So what people went under contract for, or what the home inevitably sold for compared to the final list price. So in Puna, right now it's sitting at 95.85%. So things are selling pretty close to list price, just under, and in South Kilo, 92.7%. So about 93% list to sales price. So, I mean, that's somewhat of an indicator of, you know, what you guys are really interested in knowing is what do you have to offer compared to what the prices that you're seeing. I will say it's really, really case by case though in Hawaii. So that's why you want to partner up strategically with an experienced real estate agent who can help you see what home values really are, because it really is case by case by property. So I think I hit all the stats.
Let me ask you also the big question. Are you seeing multiple offers?
We do see multiple offers, but it is another one of those things where there are some houses that are just sitting on the market, not getting any offers. And then the ones that are priced, you know, kind of correct, like the better listings, sometimes they do. I mean, it's nothing like what we saw during the pandemic years where it was like 17 offers was like pretty normal. But yes, because there's just still not very much inventory.
Right.
So yeah.
Thank you very much, Amber. So let's continue around the island, and we'll go to Andy, who's going to tell us what's going on in the southern part of the island. And it'll be interesting to see what your prices are.
Yeah, that's a lot different. Hey, Andy Madrid here on the south end of the Big Island. And just real quickly, what we've got here is, so the district of Ka'u, mostly is what I'll be talking about once I live here, and it was easy to get some of that information. That would be the communities of Oceanview, Discovery Harbor, Mark Twain Estates, and kind of all those areas south on the south end of the island. Those communities.
And Volcano.
What's that?
Uh-oh, my script. Volcano.
And Volcano. Yeah. So I'm gonna turn it back. Like every is a everything I say is back.
Is it having a feedback problem? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that you? Is that okay? So I'm not doing that. Okay, because it was for a
No, I
second.
think it's me. Okay, now it's gone away.
Okay.
All right. So the median price point, actually, our median price point for single family homes in the Ka'u District is $394,500. And that's actually an increase of almost 21% over last year. Actually 20.5%, you know, where our median price was 302,000. So we are definitely seeing price, you know, pressure to get those pricing. We're seeing a big pricing pressure down here in the South Point. And obviously that's attributed to just the affordability on this part of the island. And that was for single family homes. We do have a lot of vacant land, and vacant land in the district is actually down. The average or median sales price of vacant land is $19,750, and that's down 28% over last year.
Wow.
So yeah, quite a big drop, and a lot of that's going to be, you know, with the world economics, what's going on is a lot of people are just not really sure what to do. So we have some lower volume in sales, and we do see some lower prices. People are kind of just buying some land and parking their money. In the community of Oceanview, the price range for a single family home, and take this for what it is, because we do sell a lot of properties that are not permitted or partially permitted. And the price range is $49,000 for a property with a structure on it that, you know, we consider a single family residence, as high as $728,000. But the median price point, $287,000. And our sales price to list price ratio is just north of 97%.
Oh.
So we're seeing, you know, the prices are still, you know, sellers are getting what they want. In the communities on the south end of the island, Discovery Harbor, now the median sales price is $548,000 there, and our sales price to list price ratio is just shy of 97% there.
Okay.
you'll have to forgive me because this is my first time and I don't have all the neighborhoods compiled yet.
At least that gives people a good idea. Hey, so speaking of Discovery Harbor, because again, if you were kind of new to our channel here, this is Andy's first time discussing South Hawaii, and so a lot of you might not know some of these spaces. Can you just give somebody real quick an idea of like what Discovery Harbor looks like and what the story is with that? I mean, that's supposed to be the big upcoming, more affordable, nice community, I suppose I hear, and
So
it's $500,000.
It's a golf community. You don't have mandatory memberships there. They have social memberships. They're mostly retirees that live there, and a lot of mainland transplants. Mostly mainland transplants. That's kind of what the neighborhood caters for in terms of the style of the home. It's very, I call them HGTV centric homes. Open concept stainless steel appliances, granite counters, hardwood floors, kind of set up there. It's got great weather. There's not as much rain as the Hilo side, not nearly as dry as the Kona side. Beautiful trade winds. It's on the south end of the island, so it's not as close to some of the shopping and whatnot that some people would like. I mean, from the south end of the island to Costco is an hour and a half drive. So usually your visit to Kona is going to be an all-day event, and the same thing when you're going up to Hilo. But it's a nice sort of median, middle of the island, being one side or the other. Close to some great beaches: Green Sand Beach, Punaluu Black Sand Beach, and the turtles are always there. There are health clinics in the area that people go to, and Ka'u Rural Hospital is there as well. And it's the southernmost part of the United States, that part of the island. And then the adjacent community of Mark Twain Estates is much more modest price point. Similar, you don't have the golf course there, but in terms of land values, home values a little bit less than Discovery Harbor. One thing to mention is in both those communities, you're on piped water and your lava zone 2. Oh, I'm sorry, lava zone 6. Whereas in the Oceanview, you'd be at lava zone 2, and then going around, you'd be in lava zone 3 in the volcano area. So some people moving here like, I don't want to be in a high risk lava zone. And they don't, they're open to being a little bit farther from some of the services and what's going on in the Kona and the Hilo area. So Discovery Harbor is a great place for them to be.
That's good. Okay. And then in terms of building, are people starting to develop more of Discovery Harbor? Do you see more people building homes down there?
There are some new construction going on. There's probably half a dozen, brand new homes that are sort of in some part of being constructed. But overall, there's a lot of newer homes in that community. And I think there's 20 homes for sale right now.
20? Okay.
There are 20 properties for sale in that community. They range from about anywhere from 12 to 15,000 square foot lots. They do have CC&Rs. They do have architectural guidelines for building. And, I do think that it's kind of gone through ownership change. The golf course has, and so things have been a little bumpy along the way. I think as we saw in a lot of communities, the pandemic was a problem in terms of building things. But as we saw in most parts of the island, the pandemic, all it did was drive prices up, and prices are continuing to be stronger than they have been, which is ironic given where interest rates are at.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about the finance aspect of it. Okay. So if people have questions about the south part of Hawaii, we'll take questions at the end, but Andy's our guy. And so let's as we're coming up past Captain Cook, we're going to Kona. Let's see what so Eric has some numbers in terms of some of our more popular neighborhoods. Do you have that information?
I do. Funny is that this segment is we normally track 3 different neighborhoods and see how they're doing compared to last month. And I will say that's normally a Delania who is sick for a day. So I'm kind of doing a fill in, and I'm doing a loose fill in on this. And one thing I'd like to say is that we are low on inventory. Usually, example, we have one property in Pualani Estates, and that's at 949. And we have one property in Lokahi Makai, which is, and that's at 855, and one condo in Ali'ilani that is actually active right now. And usually Pualani Estates, we have at least 4, and Ali'ilani, I'm going to say at least 4 as well. So it just shows you where the inventory is right now. The prices seem to be pretty consistent, but the inventory is definitely down.
How much is the one in Lihilani?
585.
Which is still kind of, pricey for
Yep.
Lihilani. Okay. So there you go. So there's low inventory, but the housing prices are not skyrocketing. That's good news. So we'll find out more about what's happening with Kona over with Lance Owens. Tell us what's going on, what you're seeing in terms of pricing and activity.
Hey guys, thank you. And real quick, Julie knows we've been preparing for the general membership meeting, and I had pulled up a bunch of data yesterday for one of our speakers, and so I'm going to share some of that because we just did our Kona market report the other day. So I got some interesting stats that I thought was pretty good. Looking at the overall island itself, days on the market are 61 days. And interestingly, I looked back for our person coming in tomorrow to look at 2019, our last normal time, right? Average days on the market island wide were 84. So, that was a normal market 2019. So that was interesting. We're looking at the absorption rate for homes island wide is 30%. In 2019, it was 17%. So for those that are new here, 15 to 20% absorption is normal. Anything over 20 is a seller's market. Below 15 is a buyer's market. So we're at 30% overall for the island. To look at it, Kailua Kona itself, we're looking at the absorption rate is 43%. So that's kind of interesting.
The hot market.
Active listings for the island, this right now is 566, and it was 1,130 back in 2019. So everybody was talking about inventory. There's proof that inventory is indeed a problem. New listings that came out last month were 230. Last year it was 294, and in 2019 it was 274. So yeah, it's selling. There's more selling that's coming on the market. So that's what's still holding our prices up. Looking at condos, we got 58 new condos came on island wide compared to 72 last year. 2019 saw 71 for that month. So I thought that was interesting. And the big question I get from everybody is this new 7.5% interest rate. Nobody's buying, everybody's cash, right? So it's like, okay, let's look at 2019. And 2019 was 184 sales, and 33% of them were cash. 2023, we had 114 sales, and 37% were cash.
Mm.
It's not a huge change, and I'll let Scott and them jump into that.
Yeah, mortgages are still
Sure.
working.
Yeah.
I know that we had this, and if people are looking for specific information about what's going on with the West Hawaii housing market, also Lance and I just finished a update last Thursday, and it's up on YouTube if you want to go check it out. But the median price for a house in North Kona, which is basically what holds the Kona thing, it's 1.2.
So I just checked it today. So because we were worried, to jump into that real quick briefly, the last month it was 975 or something, which was extremely off base. Like that was like, oh, that's huge difference. I said, I'll bet you there's some that carried over to this month. So I checked as of today. If you look at our thing a week ago, it was 1.2 something. As of today, it's 1.47 million. We still got a week left in the month, so it's going to average out somewhere in between those numbers, but 1.47 about 3 hours ago.
Okay, don't everyone cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. We have mortgage people for you.
You should have bought last month, 975. Right?
Yeah, and then single. So for condos, 575.
Yeah, and here's the big one that's going to So of course, when I was in there looking at that, I looked at condo median price up to the moment, and it is at 475,
Oh,
which is
475.
way down. So there hasn't, again, that's going to be an abnormality. I'm not seeing that by seat of the pants. You can't believe these numbers when there's only 20 to 25 that sell. So it's hard. You really got to start looking at the year-to-date numbers and look at that. So that's not a trend. Just like we said last month, the 975 wasn't a trend. It was just an off month.
Yeah. So by average, in fact, I've been looking around. Your average schmo house in Kona is probably about 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna look shocked anymore. I've decided that my shock face isn't part of my experience because it is what it is. It's like the interest rates. So with that, we'll ask our mortgage professionals what's go. Oh, Jana's here actually. So let's let Jana Mahoney talk about what's happening in Waikoloa and Waikoloa Village and North Kahala. Jana, go for it.
Okay, aloha. So in North Kohala, the same statistics that Lance just gave us, the average for last month on the median sales price was $772,500 for residential, and but it was $1,050,000 for year to date in 2023. And I think that's probably a better metric because if you don't have very many sales, one sale can really skew your average.
Mhm.
And so $1,050,000, it's right around $1 million right now. And $1,037,000 was last year, so it's not a lot of change. In South Kohala, it was $1,200,000 and for residential and $1,300,000 for condos, whereas the year-to-date was $937,000 and $950,000. So I just kind of wanted to give a big picture too, specifically in Waikoloa right now. In the residential market, there are 21 listings that go from $710,000 to $1,768,000. There's a couple of pretty high dollar ones, $1,400,000, $1,577,000, and $1,768,000. Down on the end, Kila in a new subdivision, so that's kind of bumped up the price a little bit and gave us a few more things on the market there. Average days on market right now is 96. So they're staying on a lot longer. In Monolani, there are 5 residential properties that go from 4.6 million to 21 million. Obviously, they kind of skew the average a little bit as well. Condos in Waikoloa Village, there are only 6 right now in all of Waikoloa Village. They go from 426 for Nalimilani to 679 in Waikoloa Villas. And then in Monolani, there are 3, including the one I'm sitting here right now, which is my listing. And they go from $2,450,000 to $4,500,000. And the average days on market now for those are 100 days. So big,
Wow.
big jump right now in condos. Remember a year ago when condos were just flying off the market, and they're staying on a little bit longer now. I think a lot of that has to do with probably the interest rate because there's still not very much in it.
Let me ask you a question about that real quick. Do you think that the housing market is slower up there because so many investors probably flock to Waikoloa for investment, where the people who are actually trying to buy houses to live in are down in Kona and maybe in South Hawaii?
I think Waikoloa Village has people who live here full time. I think Waikoloa Resort and Monolani Resort have a lot of investors because anything in Waikoloa Resort, anything in Monolani Resort can be a short-term vacation rental, but not necessarily the case up in Waikoloa Village. In fact, very little up there can be just some condo complexes.
Yeah, because 100 days on the market when everybody else is talking about 35, 40, 45. So clearly.
Yeah. We've had a slowdown up here. In the Waikoloa Resort area, there are only 5 condos. 775 is the least expensive, and 4.1 million is the most expensive. It's a big old Polea unit, and the average there is misleading because it's 159 days, But there's one condo that's been on the market for 412 days, so that's skewing everything. So it's more like 52, 76, 70, 185 when you've got this outlier of 412. But still, that's not a lot of inventory. Pretty tight right now. And then there are actually 4 residential properties that are for sale at Puerto, which you know normally that you don't have. Yeah. So you know that's also 2.1, 2.2 to 11,900,000. So you know that's a lot. That's a lot of inventory compared to what we normally have. And the average days on market there's 24. Those are pretty valuable properties, and people like those. So you know. We're doing pretty good in Puerto as far as inventory is concerned compared to the usual. But right now, I mean, 5 condos in all of Waikoloa Resort is not very many. Not very many. And,
Well, I'm going to also preface this entire market update, you guys, that August is one of the slowest months in Hawaii for housing. So this is kind of going also with the trend of just late summer. So we'll see, hopefully see a little bit better as it cooks towards the holidays and we get more people who are visiting the island too. So, okay. So, with that, let's see what's going on with the finances. So, Joe and Scott, let's figure it out. We heard we heard the story that people are still getting mortgages.
Yeah, people are still getting mortgages, right? That's not going away. People still need to get financing to purchase homes. Scott's internet went down, so he's not on here any longer, but I'll give the update, right? The biggest elephant in the room is interest rates. Interest rates, as we've talked about on the previous calls, everybody anticipates interest rates are going to go down as inflation comes down. However, that hasn't been the case yet. The standard conventional interest rate currently, dependent on your situation, your qualifications, is hovering at about 7.5% on a 30-year fixed. The Fed it's kind of a big day tomorrow because the Fed is currently meeting at the Jackson Hole Economic Summit. So Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, is going to be speaking tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Interest rates today were kind of at a pause leading up to that in hopes that his tune may change a little bit. It's going to go 2 ways. Either he's going to continue and be bullish on the rate hikes, which will impact mortgage rates negatively over a short period of time, or the hopes is that he puts a pause on it dependent on the economic data that they receive. So inflation is coming down under control. So it's about 3% now, depending on kind of what report you read. The goal for the Fed chairman is to get that at 2% and kind of sustain it there for a longer period of time. Unfortunately, unemployment numbers have been coming in pretty well, which is keeping the interest rates higher. Yesterday, we had a good day for rates because there was a revision to previous unemployment dates that state, wait a minute, they weren't really this, they were actually higher, which was favorable for mortgage rates. So it just seems like we're sitting on this paper house that's about to blow over. Unemployment truly isn't what it states if you look at the true data, because some of it's seasonal, some of it's part-time, so it's not really going to help that inflation piece of it. And then people are still spending, but we have the highest we've ever had in credit card debt ever. So I think we're going to head into a perfect storm to something's going to have to break in order for the Fed to realize it and kind of lay off the Fed rate hikes.
Can I ask you what you perceive as breaking? Are we talking the stock market crash? Are we talking payroll completely falling apart and businesses unable to pay their payroll?
Not necessarily. What they want to see is kind of major unemployment, right? They want to see people get laid off and not be able to get another job,
Fantastic.
Unfortunately, right? It doesn't sound great, but that's what they want. Either a recession or major unemployment, or both.
Well, and this has been kind of cooking. They've been talking about the Fed won't rest until we're in recession, right?
Right. And depending on what economic data you read, we could be already in a recession based upon the true definition of recession.
Right. It's interesting because in January, I think we were all taking bets that the Fed would have gotten the rates back down to like at least 5.5 by the summer. And we were all
Mhm.
very wrong. And
Right.
and it's gonna be a
May
while.
10th was kind of that time frame in the mortgage industry where if you look at previous data, previous inflation numbers were going to drop off, which would help lower that. And truly, mortgage rates typically follow inflation, right? As inflation goes down, so will mortgage rates. But there's other factors that are keeping the Fed bullish on their rate hikes. So yeah, I was putting together a presentation for a different real estate office, and three of the major kind of economic forecasters, Fannie Mae Mortgage Bank Association and the National Association of Realtors, both anticipate rates in Q3 of 2024 to be 6% or below. So, but again, if you align yourself with a good real estate professional, align yourself with a good mortgage broker, that the biggest thing is not necessarily interest rates, it's affordability, right? If we could solve the affordability piece of it, which we have different tools on the mortgage side to be able to do with temporary buy downs, permanent buy downs, talk about putting less money down to allocate towards debt to improve your monthly cash flow, then that's the true issue right now. It's affordability, not necessarily mortgage rates.
Yeah. And then speaking of when Eric and I went to a conference in Las Vegas last week, and they said making sure that people understand how to get their finances in a row to make sure that they know what they can afford, and really work really well with a team member who's a lender is really important. So people who are watching, maybe you can't buy a house tomorrow, but if you're thinking about buying a house in the not too distant future, sitting down and talking to a mortgage broker is going to be very important. And that way you have a good strategy for moving ahead in terms of what you can afford, and also when to jump in. And so, Joe, you're saying, let's just say, do you think like the spring market, we might have lower interest rates so that when
I
people
do.
who are in the regular housing market buy in around spring are going to have a better shot at it at this point? Yeah.
Well, better shot of it. I do anticipate rates will be lower. However, if rates lower a percentage, I read a stat the other day. I'm a big stats guy. So a lower rate, 1%, will initiate 5 million more buyers into the market, right? So again, opportunity and cost in every single market, they may have a better shot because of the interest rates going to be lower. However, if more people flood the market, inventory, I think we've all said inventory is an issue everywhere. The old supply and demand, I think, as I think Amber talked about with during COVID time, it was normal to have 17 offers on a property, right? So I'm kind of advising everybody with kind of that minimal down. If you want to purchase and you can truly afford it now, buy now, refinance later. I know everybody hears that, right? Because I think if you got to compete when interest rates do go down at Q3 of 2024, I think it's going to be tough again until we start to see that supply increase even more.
Yeah. In fact, they were talking about on an economic level that people aren't going to move. So many people are trapped in their 2 and 3% mortgage rates that they're like, oh, I'm not going to go. And they say that the psychological breaking point is probably going to be 5%. So they're not going to move out of their houses. And so until it comes down significantly, we're going to have a supply problem. So
right. Yeah. I read a stat the other day that 70% of Americans have an interest rate of 4% or below.
I heard that was 90 actually.
Well, I think 70%, and then there's some that don't have a mortgage at all.
Oh, okay. So now I think it was 90% of people sitting in their homes right now have either they have their house paid off, or So, but thinking about that, trying to get people to move out of their houses with that is pretty crazy. So,
Yep.
And actually, after we went through this whole round robin of everything that's happening on this island, I think we're seeing a lot of this happening on the mainland too. There's just not that much inventory. In fact, they said that housing sales have dropped 18% year over year. So, yeah. So if you see a good house, get your realtor on it and get on it faster than not. So, one of the things that we wanted to talk about also with our little people here is in terms of supply and demand, if we have a new level of something just happened that might actually push demand, that is the Maui wildfires, are they coming to Big Island? And so I was going to ask my little people here, have you seen people actually call you saying, I'm from Maui and I want to buy a house on Big Island? Lance, you start.
So I've been kind of watching for this too and asking around with people, and I had a person looking at the house here behind me. They flew in from Maui. They have a home in Lahaina and a home on the mainland. They split their time between the two. Their home in Lahaina was not damaged. It's perfectly fine. But they realize that there's going to be at least 5 years or more, maybe probably 10 years of rebuilding and construction and a lot of things going on. And so they're looking now at different options. They do want to move on to a different island. So they were exploring the Big Island. They were surprised that we have our own beautiful little waterfront street, Aliki Drive, and has the old town feeling that Lahaina did. It's different on each island. You can't say, oh, this is Lahaina. It's different, but it's his very own different type of feeling here. And it is good to have that little bayfront that we have. I'd be devastated if we lost our bayfront down there. We all worried when Uncle Billy sold off, right? That somebody's going to change it all up.
And they're not, because they're working with 2 people at a time to do a $20 million renovation.
Yeah.
As people used to say, oh, I haven't been to Kona in 15 years. But it hasn't changed. So
Yeah, don't worry. There's a couple of traffic lights added, but other than that, it's
the same. Andy, since you're kind of in our affordable level, are you seeing Maui kind of people looking for land or maybe homes?
Yeah, I actually just had a guy call me yesterday, came as a referral from another agent. And him and his family live on Maui now. Their house wasn't destroyed. He owns a plumbing company, and so they're looking to relocate here completely. And it's not going to happen. What they anticipate is buying a property that they'll rent, but he's looking at his business and how is it going to change? And so their timeline might change. They're definitely relocating here. The timeline for when they would make it full time really depends on what's going to happen with this business here in the next few months.
There we go. Okay. And then Jana, you said you haven't seen the Maui factor yet.
No, I sold a condo here to a family who moved to Lahaina. Had little kids, they lost everything. And they actually found a place to live, but her next door neighbor also had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. They lost their house. So we did help them find an ohana, and an owner's going to let them stay in the ohana. So we're having a little, not a baby shower, I guess, a family shower to kind of fill in the gaps of the things that they need because they lost everything. So we haven't, they're not going to buy her, but they're, well, they might eventually. The company that he worked for has allowed him to just transfer and work from Hawaii instead of Lahaina. So that's going to work out nice. So it's nice that the aloha spirit. These people are going to let them stay in the ohanas. It's just so sweet. It's just so sweet. Yeah. And the little 3-year-old boy said they told him that they lost their house, and he said, "Well, what about my bike?" That was his first thing he said. So we're getting that little boy a bike. It's gonna be waiting for him when he shows up.
Oh, that's cool. And
but not really people that are looking to buy over here that I've seen yet.
And there are people, just some people on YouTube land who are watching this where you might just think it's the island taking care of the island. It's the whole island taking care of the one island. And people are offering their houses to people who are displaced from the Maui fire all over the islands. In fact, a call went out to people who have vacation rentals here in Big Island to see if people could take in some of those displaced families. And like Jen is saying, these people are offering them a free rent for a whole year, right? Yeah, so that's a generosity and aloha spirit is very, very good. And Jen and I were talking about that family, and if anyone, again, for the next, she's gonna have a party in the next 5 days or so. If anybody who wants to donate something, we're looking at trying to get like an Amazon gift card number or something, that if you want to donate to help this family get kind of at least the stuff that they lost, and it's going to one family and they're coming over to Big Island, it'd be great to be able to throw that into the house shower that they're going to have. So it gives everyone here also an opportunity if they want to help a Lahaina fire victim. And so Amber, have you seen anybody from Maui?
Not so directly, of somebody who was going to buy there who is going to buy here. It feels a little bit early for me to, I wouldn't have expected to. It's such a like raw new situation. But I will say I have had people, even though they're not telling people to change their travel plans at this point, it seems like most people agree on that unless you were going to go to Lahaina, obviously. I have had people who were going to come out for scouting trips who like postponed during the fire week when they just weren't, you know, how a lot of people on the mainland don't really know like geographically where things are taking, they're just like canceling all of their Hawaii plans. So I did get a lot of people postponing travel that would be buying. So that might affect their timeline. It might not. And I don't take clients on Maui, but I do have one family that I am helping buy a house on Maui that may be delaying their plans, but that's not my normal market at all. So a little bit, but I'm sure we will see the effects. The real estate market will inevitably, you know, both on Maui and here, see effects from disaster like this. So I expect it.
Okay. I see Lance has to go actually talk to people and do his job. I see that we also have someone just joined us. This whole experience is going to be on YouTube, but if you do want to join us live, please join our Ohana and you'll get into the email about getting the Zoom link so you guys can be part of our experience once a month. And if there's, I know that we have Kim. Do you have any questions for our wonderful human beings about financing or real estate or any type of part of the island?
No, not today, but you guys have covered, you know, material that I'm always curious about hearing. We've been looking over there for over 5 years, I'd say, and we didn't pull the trigger probably when we should have, and we were real close back in May, and then after we did inspections and stuff, we were like, yeah, it wasn't worth it not to make the leap and put everything in that we were going to have to do for that place. So we're just kind of holding out still. We've waited this long. So it's always interesting to hear different perspectives from you guys, though. I really appreciate that. So thanks.
And you know, just people are saying, you know, when's a good time, right? Obviously, when you have the ability to say, what's it cost to move here? Put that money aside. And then I've learned recently when my people have moved into a house, it's never completely perfect. So don't blow all your cash.
No.
It's probably going to be an appliance that you might have to replace or something that happened to the house. So an island, guys, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, things happen to your house. Yeah.
You said you're going to need a new stand-up paddleboard too.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, you got to play too. So, the good news is that we do this once a month. And so if you guys want to tune in, again, we have 3 options for you guys to get into. Amber and I do a East Hawaii update by itself the first Wednesday of the month. And then Lance and I do West Hawaii the first Thursday of the month. And then we have this overall island-wide update on the 3rd Thursday of the month. So you guys set your calendars and like I said, go to 365hawaiiliving.com and join the Ohana if you're not already working with a realtor. And we can also put you in touch with our wonderful mortgage partners, the Eagan team, or you can contact Joe directly and get in on a strategy session. Having your money in place is all about home ownership. So you guys, thank you very much. I love our little team here. Thank you very much for bringing your wisdom, and we will see you guys on the next go round. With that, say aloha.
Aloha.
Mm-hmm.